Based on the survey data, which of the following most accurately compares the expected total number of students with 4 siblings at the 2 schools? So let's remind ourselves that this is just a sample. This isn't everyone at the school. This is just 300 people from each school. The total number of students is larger. And that's very important because, so based on this sample, we're sort of making predictions about the total number of students with 4 siblings. And when you're looking at this, you might be initially tempted to say that, well, the expected number should be equal because we sampled 300, 300 people from both schools, and in both groups, 10 people reported for 4 siblings. So the expected number should be equal. But that isn't exactly correct because the schools have different numbers of total students. So here, for example, in Lincoln School, we, sampled 300 people. 10 said that they had 4 siblings, but this is out of a school of 2,400 people versus here it's out of 3,300 people. So that's a very important detail, and for that reason, A is incorrect because even if the proportion of students out of the sampling is the same that has 4 siblings, out of the total, Washington School is going to have a larger number of students because they have more total students. So let's demonstrate that mathematically. So let's actually, so here it's actually going into details with how many more students which school has. So let's actually do some math here. Let's start with Lincoln School. So we sampled 300 students, and out of the 300, 10 had 4 siblings. So what percentage is that? That means we put 10 over 300, right? So the number that we have over that total, okay, we get a decimal. And to actually get a percentage value, we can just multiply that by 100. So that comes out to 3.33 repeating percent. So 3.3% of our Lincoln School sample has 4 siblings. How do we, extrapolate that to this number of students? Well, you take your value, not in percent form, but in decimal form. So not 3.333%, but in decimal form. So 0.0333 repeating. You take that and you multiply it by this number of students. Alternatively, you can think about it this way. It's like if 10 out of 300, it's like a proportion. 10 out of 300 is equal to x over 2,400, and then you'd be solving for x. That's basically what we're doing. So if you take that and you figure it out, you figure out that there are going to be 80 students at Lincoln School with 4 siblings. 80. So let's write that down. And moving on, we got to just figure out how many students are expected to have 4 siblings at Washington School, and then we can compare the two. So, okay, we still have the same percentage of the sampled population, so it's still 10 over 300, but it's now equal to x over 3,300, since we have more students now in Washington School. So if we work that out, so 10 over 300, that's equal to still 0.0333 and so on. To solve for x, you can just multiply both sides by 3,300. So that is going to be 110. So in the first school, we had 80. In the second school, we have 110 people expected to have 4 siblings. So what does that mean? That means Washington School is expected to have 30 more than Lincoln School, which again makes sense since they have a larger population while the proportions are the same. So let's see, that's okay. So B is out. The answer is going to be C. The total number of students with 4 siblings at Washington School is expected to be 30 more than at Lincoln School.